Hi, how are you? Today I want to talk about perspective. This is always in our control. It is the thing that we get to decide how we're going to take in a situation. There is a model called the coaching model that was created by people much smarter than me that helps you go through the process of changing your perspective. So I want to give you an example first. I talked to a client last week and she was telling me, or the month before, she was telling me about this project. Her boss had given it to her. She didn't want to do it. It wasn't in her wheelhouse. She was not happy. It wasn't going to change, but she was not good with taking on this really big project. So the next month when I talked to her, I said, how are you doing with this project? What are you going to do about it? And she said, you know what? I decided that it is good for my career. It will look good on a resume. It gives me skills that I don't have right now. And so I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it well. And it was so interesting to me to note nothing had changed. The project was still the project. The only thing that changed was how she was going to look at it. And I think we all need to take that in. You know, one of the things that I talk about is when you're telling a story, take the adjectives out. Like we add in, you know, my mother died from cancer and it was horrible. And I was alone and I can make it sound like desperate and horrible. And it was, pieces of it were. But the facts are, my mother passed away when I was 22. Good or bad, right or wrong, it has defined pieces of me in my life. But I had my mother for 22 years. So that's the perspective. I can choose to, and I don't mean that you don't acknowledge your feelings around it or that you don't do the work to let it go, to understand how it has affected you. But at the end of the day, am I going to let that define me, or am I going to move on with the story that, thank God, I had my mother for 22 years? That's about perspective. So I want to remind you about, many of you that work with me have heard about this, but the coaching model, and it's about, you start with a circumstance. So there's circumstance, thought, feeling, action, and results. The circumstance is just that. So an example would be, the circumstance is that I'm on a diet. My thought around that could be, I never stick with it. Then the feeling is frustration. I'm lackadaisical about it. I don't expect it to work. My action will be that I probably don't stick to it. And the result will be that I won't lose weight. So the circumstance doesn't change, I'm on a diet. The thought could be, this time I'm going to hang in there. So neither one is untrue. It's how I choose to view it. So if I change the thought, you know, this time I'm really going to do it. Then the feeling is optimistic and hopeful and determined. And the action is, I'm probably going to stick to it. And the result will be that I lose weight. It is that powerful if we can get in touch with the thought that creates the feeling, that then creates the action and the result. We are in control of that. So this month, I want you to think about a situation that is upsetting, that is draining, and see how you can use this model to change the thought, and just see if it changes your perspective, if it changes how you show up, if it changes your level of peace in your life. We control more of that than we think. So it is good to talk to you. I hope that you live and lead with intention. Thank you.